Welcome to my channel, my name's Wayne, and today I want to talk about the very stark contrast between when you have the ray tracing effect switched on or switched off on the brand new PS5 version of Control, that if you were a PS Plus member you were lucky enough to get for nothing this month, well, as part of your subscription anyway. And so what I'm going to do is just basically put side by side the ray tracing on and the ray tracing off. So let's have a look. And yes, you are right, I am simplifying things somewhat, because what I actually mean is selecting either performance mode or graphics mode, which is what you were prompted to do the moment you select new player in the game. But I'm not here to talk about FPS, I'm here to talk about ray tracing, and here we see it on, and now we see it switched off, and the difference is quite a contrast. All of those lovely reflective images literally just disappear right before your very eyes until, as you can see there, we switch it back on and it's all much more realistic and moving as you move. And here we see a nice kind of black tiled floor, polished floor, and you switch it off and you can still kind of see that the game's trying to recreate the reflections and the lighting. It's not doing a bad job, to be honest, but it's still not a patch on the ray tracing, as you can see when we switch it back on again. Especially if you look at details like the sign on the pillar reflected in the floor and all of the details on the walls. Now here with the ray tracing switched on in this section, it looks amazing, but then when you switch it off it doesn't do a bad job again of recreating the light and the reflection, but when switched back on, then you can see much more detail, almost mirror image like. Now in this area here, you can see probably one of the best examples of how the ray tracing recreates the beautiful details of that tree on the reflective surface of the floor there. It's amazing until you turn it off and then the entire lot disappears. You really can see now how stark the difference is between having it on and having it off. I mean, take a look at this wall here. As soon as you switch it off, all gone, no details whatsoever until we turn it back on again, where you can now see her shadow and the lights. Now if you look at this puddle on the floor, you really can see almost a perfect mirror image of the pipes on the ceiling. But when you switch it off, you'd never even know the puddle was there. That's how much of a difference it makes. And the puddle leads us to the next most reflective surface in the game, which is anything that has glass in it. Now look at the detail of the opposite side of the room in the window there, until you turn it off and it's literally nothing. Now if you look at this next scene, the glass on the left there reflects the pinboard at the end of the corridor, but when switched off you wouldn't even know that you're standing next to any glass. It almost becomes a wall until it's switched back on again. Big difference. Now when you're in this room where the hotline is, again, the difference is astounding. You know, it's literally a mirror image or nothing at all. And the last example we're going to look at is this picture frame on the wall there. I mean, that is a black and white photo that's been brought to life by all of the perfectly reflected color images of everything else that's in the room. And I think that you can pretty much tell that ray tracing has transformed what is essentially still a PS4 game into something a whole lot more beautiful. And yes, performance mode definitely improves the combat sections of the game like this, but this is 30 FPS, and I think that it works pretty well. Running pretty much flawlessly as it does on the PS5, I think that having the ray tracing at 30 FPS is definitely, in this game at least, the better option out of the two. Unless they could come up with some kind of Miles Morales update where you've got a kind of performance RT, a bit of a sort of best of both worlds. This one is the way to go for me, I'm afraid, because although some games really do improve at 60 FPS, I think on this one 30 FPS is pretty much, flawless. So I personally would much prefer to play the rest of the game in this mode. So I hope you enjoyed looking at the differences between the two modes there, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.